Class of 2010 gets ready to enter the working world. We have important information to help get them started. Joining me with money management tips for new grads is Emily Bennington, author of Effective Immediately, How to Fit In, Stand Out, and Move Up at Your First Real Job. Emily, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so you're finally ready to head out into the real world. You've got some tips for new grads about what's optional and what's not when it comes to spending money. First up, the wardrobe. Everybody wants to make a good impression. You say designer suits and accessories. These are optional. Why?
That's right. You want to be really smart about your wardrobe at this point so that you don't spend money unnecessarily. And the way that you do that is that you focus on a few must-haves versus things that are just nice to have. And in most office environments, you can really get away with only having 2 or 3 nice suits. After that, it's really just a matter of mixing and matching tops and bottoms. So that's a great way to stretch your wardrobe and stretch your dollar at the same time. Another piece of advice that I like to give new professionals is to be very intentional about holidays at this point. So if your birthday is right around the corner, for example, and your folks ask what you want, then you have them fill in the gap between what you have in your wardrobe and what you need for work so that you don't have to shoulder those expenses. And finally, I think that new grads often underestimate the deals that can be found through online sites like eBay and by shopping locally at consignment stores. Those are just really great ways to find quality brand name clothes without paying brand name prices.
All right, and next up is lunch. And this can get really expensive when you start that first job. You may think out-of-office lunches are part of the fun, but those little expenses really add up. This is another, what you call an optional expense.
Well, that's right. I mean, think about it this way. If you spend $8 a day on lunch, what you're going to find is that you spend about $160 a month. And this is an example of what we've all heard referred to as the latte effect, where these seemingly little expenses like $4 lattes add up and become large expenses over time. Now, that's not to say that you can't enjoy a $4 latte every once in a while, but what I'm saying is that new grads in particular need to be very aware of where their money is going. And so occasionally it is a good idea to bring your lunch to work, but what you don't want to do is eat lunch behind your desk. You don't want to dine al desco, as we call it, because as a new professional, you are making a lot of first impressions all the time, and so you don't want to do anything that's going to isolate yourself or position yourself as a loner. So get out from behind the desk, have lunch in the company kitchen, and you'll not only save money, but you'll get to meet some of your colleagues too, so that's a win-win.
That's a very good advice. Okay, now you have a few expenses that you say are not optional. The first is spending money on what you call controlled development spending. What is that?
Well, even after college, your very best investment is in your education. And I'm someone who believes that business books are absolutely not optional. You can save money by checking them out from the library, but the best ones you're going to want to purchase and you're going to want to display in your workspace. And there's 2 reasons for that. One is that great books are full of great information, and you're going to want to have that handy. But second is that there's a good chance with some of the more popular business books that many folks in your office will have read them as well. So when they come into your office or your workspace and they see books that they've read, they have something in common with you and they have something to talk to you about. And so it's just a good way to build rapport.
Okay.
Another thing that you can do is look for career-related websites. There's really, at that point, the only investment that you have is your time. My site is professionalstudio365.com, and that is a site that's designed for new grads to help them as they transition into the workforce.
Interesting. Okay, let's get to another not optional expense, and this is a big one because it's your 401k.
Absolutely. 401ks are not optional, but the question that I often get is how much should I invest in the 401k? And the answer is that you should invest at minimum the maximum that your company is willing to match. And for most organizations, that number falls between 2 and 4% of your salary. But the good news about 401ks, apart from the fact that they allow us all to retire, is that that money comes right out of your check and you never see it. So, the idea is that you don't miss what you don't see. And so I really think that 401k plans are absolutely not optional. If you have questions about yours, you should ask your supervisor or HR professional in your organization.
All right. And finally, you say getting promoted is also not optional. We're almost out of time, but tell me, how do you go about getting this done?
Well, that's the whole point of all of this, right? Is so you can get promoted and earn more money. And one of the ways that we like to say that you can get promoted faster is by minding your illities. And these are things like dependability, accountability, punctuality. As a new professional, you really don't have a lot of work product to stand on yet, so you're going to be judged by your boss and your colleagues for these things that they can see, like illities.
All right, Emily Bennington. The book is Effective Immediately: How to Fit In, Stand Out, and Move Up at Your First Real Job. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.